Since her daughter's death, Betty Schwager has spent countless hours promoting Iowa Donor Network and spreading awareness of organ and tissue donation.
Still ahead, a young man's battle against time.
So we just do what we do and hope.
Bryce Drazy needs a new heart, but there aren't enough donors and time is not on his side. His story right after this.
So this center has been in existence for 23 years. We do kidney transplants here, both adult and pediatric. We do about 20 kidney transplants a year. Last year we did 26. About a third of those were from living donors. Well, the Iowa Donor Network is our local donor service at OPO. And so they're involved in every step of the process, from identifying the donor to working up that donor, to placing the organs, to having those organs shipped out, or, and then making sure the transplant actually takes place. There are approximately 52 OPOs operating all over the country. There are around 11 regions that are there, and each area has its own donor service area, and for us it's Iowa Donor Network, and they're integral to getting people transplanted.
110,000 people in the U.S. are waiting for a life-saving transplant. With each passing second, minute, day, their odds of receiving a second chance at life grows less hopeful. That is why My Angel Foundation is here. We inform Iowans on the facts of organ donation. My Angel Foundation is also focused on inspiring Iowans to become organ, eye, and tissue donors. Organ donation is something that could affect all Iowans, including you and your loved ones. Learn more and sign up to be a donor at myangelfoundation.org.
It's one thing to understand that there is a long list of people waiting for a life-saving organ or tissue transplant.
It's something else to see the faces and hear the stories of those waiting to be saved. That brings us to the story of Bryce Drazy. Mark Tauschek introduces us to an amazing young man whose only hope at life is from that of a donor.
Bryce wants to play guitar when he's older, so he's taking lessons. He also wants to be a graphic artist for video games when he grows up. He practices a lot.
Very, very, very good at video games.
He loves science class and wants to be a great chef someday. However, if any of these dreams will come true for Bryce, he needs one very important thing to happen first.
Hey, I'm Bryce and I am 13 and I am waiting for a heart transplant.
Bryce knows how hard it is to wait. He's already had one heart transplant at age 12 because of a disease called cardiomyopathy that affected his heart muscle.
Let's just say my heart was very big and couldn't pump very well.
But his body rejected that first donor heart, so now he needs another donor to provide him with another heart.
It's kind of sad knowing that somebody else had to die in order for me to live, but it's happy at the same time.
While he's waiting for his new heart, Bryce can rarely leave the house.
I've been at home doing the same things for about 8 months, so you kind of learn to deal with it after a while.
And whether he's gaming, rocking out, or just studying, he has to carry a special medical device that hangs around his neck everywhere he goes.
This is Milrinone that helps my heart not get big, bad clots. And it goes to my arm, which goes to here, to my heart. And this is the machine that pumps it. We have really no idea when we're gonna get my new heart. So we just do what we do and hope that soon that I get a new heart.
Bryce says waiting for someone to save his life is very stressful, especially for his family.
sometimes we get pretty anxious. When are we gonna get it? When are we gonna get it? But sometimes also we try to forget it because we just want to move on.
But moving on will require the help of someone else, someone Bryce will never know, just as he never found out who gave him his first heart.
If it weren't for that organ donor, I wouldn't be alive right now. I did know a little boy, I think he was 5. He was waiting for a heart just like I was in the hospital, but he didn't get his. And he was waiting over a year in the hospital and never came out. So, don't want that to be me. So, that's why most people need to be an organ donor.
That story was shot last year. Unfortunately, a suitable donor was never found in time. Bryce died last spring at the age of 13. Bryce's mother, Michelle Drazy, joins us now. Michelle, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me a little bit of what it was like for your family when Bryce was on the waiting list.
The first time he was on the list, 5.5 months. He lived in the pediatric ICU at the University of Iowa Hospital. You know, he went outside sometimes. He was on a machine that pumped his heart for him, but other than that, he was stuck in the ICU. And so then he did get a new heart, and it lasted 8 months, and then he was back on the list. That time was different. He did not have to be on the LVAD that pumped his heart. He was able to go home after several weeks in the hospital with home care. Took a nurse to school. It was very difficult. I worked from home to be there for him and for our daughter as well, but it was a pretty rough time.
You know, he sounds like an extraordinary kid, but he only wanted to be an ordinary kid.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
He didn't. He wanted to be extraordinary in the way that we all want to be extraordinary. He wanted to be good at the things he did. Sorry.
That's okay.
But he didn't want, he wanted to be famous, but not in this way. However, he was very extraordinary, and he used this to get the word out there. He was always very willing to do, you know, interviews. He was on the news. He loved that. He loved having people know his name.
And he also had a goal of how many views he wanted,
Yes.
how many people he wanted to see his story. Tell us about that.
Yeah, his dad and him made a deal that we would try to get 10,000 views on his YouTube video. Unfortunately, when he passed away, we hadn't made it yet. However, I think towards Christmas is when we finally hit that and went well above it as well. So
That's so
we're
wonderful.
proud.
Michelle, thank you so much for being with us
Thank you.
today. Still ahead, we'll introduce you to some members of Iowa Donor Network and find out how you can help save a life as well. We'll be right back.
I've actually have had the privilege to work with Iowa Donor Network for some time now, and over 20 plus years. And I've seen that the organ procurement organization has moved from a in-hospital setting to one of an independent organization serving the 3 transplant centers in the state of Iowa. They make my life extremely easy at Mercy because of all the work that they do and the expertise that they bring to the table in terms of knowing how to approach families and knowing that the critical shortage, the need, and the young men and women that I've had the opportunity to work with are just extremely intelligent and hardworking.
Hi, I'm John Cahill.
I'm Brian Pfizer.
And I'm Brad Argo. We started Blur in 2008 to really give companies and organizations an alternative to their marketing needs.
From our creative team to high-definition production to graphic and video editing to distribution, we're here to serve you.
Today we have the web, broadcast, cable, and social media. At Blur, we make it easy for you to utilize and understand all these platforms.
Every organization has a story to tell. Let us tell yours.
And we are proud to have worked with the Iowa Donor Network producing this program to promote organ and tissue donor awareness.
Welcome back. Throughout this half hour, you've heard some incredible stories by those impacted by organ and tissue donation. We're joined now by Chris Kayahi from IDN. Chris, thanks for being with us today. We touched a bit earlier on the role of the IDN. Tell us exactly what you folks do.
Sure. Iowa Donor Network here in the state of Iowa facilitates the organ and tissue donation process. So we're kind of that front end piece of the transplantation process here. We have a 24-hour communication center where we take referrals, and then a number of coordinators and specialists that work from there to make sure that donation happens, and then work at placing those organs and tissues throughout the state of Iowa and really throughout the country.
And time is critical. When an organ becomes available, it's just a matter of hours until that organ is transplanted in surgery?
Yes, sir. You know, in some cases, for example, with a heart, from the time that we recover a heart from a donor, we have literally 4 to 6 hours to get that organ transplanted into a recipient. So time is a very critical and crucial element for us, and there are a lot of complex steps that we take, but we definitely do everything we can to make sure that that happens.
And quickly, when someone decides to become a donor, it's very important to talk to their family about it.
It is. One of the things that we recommend is that once somebody makes a decision to become a donor, that they share their wishes with their family and friends so we can help honor those wishes.
And also quickly, how does somebody become a donor?
Sure. The easiest way and our preferred method is to go to our online registry at www.iowadonorregistry.org.
Okay. Chris, thanks very much, and we'll be right back.
The Transplant Center at Iowa Methodist Medical Center and Blank Children's Hospital, dedicated to patients and families through all phases of the complex and challenging transplant process. At the Transplant Center at Iowa Methodist Medical Center, our team of dedicated surgeons and clinical professionals have performed adult and pediatric kidney transplants on more than 400 patients. The compassion of donors, the dedication of Methodist Medical Center, saving lives together. To learn more, visit iowahealth.org.
Over the past half hour, you've seen firsthand why it is so important to become an organ and tissue donor.
To learn more about organ and tissue donation, including common myths and facts, visit iowadonornetwork.org. To become a registered organ and tissue donor, visit iowadonorregistry.org or donatelife.net and select the state of residence.
And most importantly, once you have made the decision to become a donor, please share that decision with your family.
Thanks again for being with us.